southern sky, by the ocean blue. Every mile lost, my soul renewed, taken by the sunrise and the golden view. Walking slowly in the mountains underneath the constellations. Yeah, I know that you've been waiting for me. Time is losing all its meaning, like I'm living in a dream, and I've been chasing all the feelings I need. It's in these moments with to face in a crowd, and now I can't see.
It does work. Welcome everybody. We are here for our master season in FRL, and we are with the current situation. Why doesn't it work? I need this. Thank you a lot. So here we are. Maybe this way better. So here we are in the current situation, qualifying session at the moment ongoing. It's going to be quite an interesting situation. I don't know why I am still hearing the music, which is odd. Like, can you just not? No, where are you? Okay, found it. So, now we are here. At the moment, situation seems to be with the Pro. Oops, I think... wait a second. Okay, I just have to get used again to the fact that it's not anymore the Pro, but it's the Alien session, which took me a bit out of cover. But here we are with the current qualifying session in the Alien season. I will say newest, it's just a division between the Pro class and the Alien class, which is a subsidiary of the Pro class, which has been just created for the new season. At the moment there are 20 drivers in the, I will say, Platinum number plates, and certain livers are... no, okay, they are. So we are here with Keenan at the moment in 4th place, but more importantly it is Lucassen that is for now driving into the pole position, 4/10 of a second in front of Bergold, and then Van Tielen, apologies. In the 414, here we are at the moment with them. There could be an improvement on their time. Okay, finally it's working, the race control. I don't know why initially it wasn't working. There is an improvement by a little margin, but it's more important to know and to notice that Bergold is also improving, but it's not going to be enough. It's going to be just enough for Keenan, though, to get himself into 2nd place, and but Congratel goes into 1st again. So this means that actually Lucassen's improvement will not give him the pole position. As you can clearly see, 2nd place for now, and 3rd place is Keenan, which made a very good time. For a brief moment he was close to the pole, but now he is in 2nd row. And Congratel is also an interesting name for now. 42.845. Only 3 drivers have managed so far to get below the 43. And I think there is still something to be found by Lucassen, as the German driver is improving by 2/10 of a second. Same has to be said about, no, never mind, because Von Kalben was making a very nice improvement for 1/10 of a second, but that is not going to happen anymore as he went off track. For now the 10th remains in his hands. This could realistically become the newest pole time. He lost a 10th in the 2nd sector, as he now approaches the 3rd. It's likely to to get himself a better placement. The question is, will he complete the chicane in an optimum manner? And the answer is not really. He actually lost everything in the chicane, and as a matter of fact, he will not go into pole. He will not even... Oh, no, okay, he will not even improve his lap time. But someone who did it was Van Tielen. Van Tielen from Sim Racing Belgium in the 214 in this very nice red and yellow livery. He has made it into the pole. As you can see, there is a little advantage for the Ferraris. 7 Ferraris in the top 7. And if you don't consider Nopek in 8th, it's actually 9 Ferrari in the first 9 places. It would have been, rather. This is the only car that isn't the pressing horse that is in the first places. Well, in the first 9 places, not even first places. And I'm also looking at this McLaren because there was the chance for making it into the pole position. 5/10 of a second was the gap on himself, but now he's going slightly down and he will get into 4th. And you saw exactly this thing here. Maybe I can just show you the replay. I just make it easier for you to look at. I just need this. So you can see from this is where he lost it. I think it was there. Or maybe I can just go tiny bit behind, because I think this was the real moment where he lost it. You can have a look at from the helicam. I'm quite sure it was around here. Okay, it was the chicane effectively, where he just lost the 10th, and that meant a huge disadvantage on himself. But more interestingly, it's Congratel that made another improvement. And it's very odd since he's now showing, I think, race control glitched a bit. Oh, no, theoretically the cars are... Maybe I'm just loud. Maybe like this is better. Theoretically you should hear the audio. Effectively I was a bit loud. I should be slightly better. So anyway, for now 20 driver only. So very realistically, the Pro and the Alien classes will be linked together in the next rounds to have a bit more cars on track. 5 minutes to go in the qualifying session, and for now no one is going to make an improvement since everybody is actually on their outlap. That makes sense though, if Congratel effectively is on his outlap. The only driver that in the top 12 is not in the outlap is Von Kalben, although he just began his lap. Tobin too, but he's 5/10 off the chart, and the same has to be applied to the Young. Just in the Young here for Gazelle Motorsport in the Mercedes, white and black and azure. 2/10 of a second for now. This will put them into 11th only. So just an improvement by 2 places. But that also won't happen since he kind of lost everything into just before the chicane, and the chicane also didn't help. So he will stay in 13th place. Maybe the same hasn't to be said to Keddy on here, but I think it's slightly more important to go into Van Tielen. tenth of a second on himself. Realistically, they just have 2 to 3 laps. Doesn't seem to be able to just clinch the top of the standings. And maybe it's a slightly different story for Lucassen. Below the 2 tenths of a second mark. Now it's a very different story here. 1 tenth of a second, that will put them into second place. But everybody is actually improving. Bergold, a very interesting name, now in 6th place. But he's about to go into remain into 6th place. He will not improve the position, he will improve massively his time, but that won't be enough. It may just be enough for Lucassen, which isn't. 18 milliseconds of Van Tillen, it was an improvement, just not the good amount of improvement. Von Kalben is going to improve, but even for him, the same story applies. He just, well, just, okay, maybe not just, but he needs 3 tenths of a second to get into at least 6th place. He for now is getting into 4 tenths, to be fair, now back into 3. But will it be enough for getting into Bergold's place? And it will not be enough, because they just made the same exact time. 1:42.957, and it's the same exact time for both Bergold and Van Kelben, but per motorsport rules, it is the latter that gets the place behind. Keenan goes faster. 2nd place for the Irishman. For number 2, partially Red Bull. I think it's very important for me to say it. I imagine if that's an official partnership, I think I will be beaten if I don't say that. And Congratel made another improvement, by the way, just a very tiny one in terms of milliseconds, but still an improvement nevertheless. Van Tillen is going to go into 2nd, 45 milliseconds away from Congratel. So apparently those milliseconds that the 170 got were just what he needed to get a tiny bit in front and remaining into the 1st place. There is still some room for improvement for the number 77. I love the number plate, which is actually engulfed into the bull. Very nice touch there. Although I'm not really a fan of Red Bull liveries, since they are all the same, more or less, for obvious reasons, but also I love colors. That car doesn't have colors, so that doesn't help my opinion on that. But in the meantime, while I was just saying things quite randomly, Keenan actually goes into place, number 1. 1:42.642, 40 milliseconds in front of Congratel, so just at the very tail end of the qualifying session, it was the man that never got into the pole in the past 15 minutes to get a better placement. Cruz goes in 6th place in 2:33 H2 Racing. And never mind what I said, because Congratel just improved the time in the very last turn. 17 milliseconds in front of Keenan. It was just a very tiny improvement. Oh no, that was that is a massive one. That was a massive one. He was absolutely smashing the time. It just went wide. We have a look at the replay as Bergold goes into how did I say it? Into 5th place, but we have to go through this one here into Van Tillen's situation. You can see he was massively improving 3 tenths of a second, and then it just went wide and invalidated the time. So that particular bit What's the difference between pole position and non-pole position? I still have the music, by the way. I just have to just... Okay, you. Why are you still on? Go away. Maybe, you know what? I can just do something for these, to be fair. Like, we're just waiting. So at this point... Yeah, it works. So we'll go with the usual, if I can make it work, rather, because I think that it just reset itself, because as always I just prepare it, and as always if the session changes, well, it's completely useless, as a matter of fact it has reset itself. So, voila. So we go for the usual drone cam. But here we have our 20 driver lineup. It's going to be a very fast lineup too. So to the very front it is Congretel to the left, 170 and 77 Keenan on the right, then Van Tilland with Lucassen on his side, Bergold and Busov, and then the first McLaren with Nopek driving it with Kroos in the 233, 187 is in Von Kalben's hands in 9th place with Zach Dahl alongside, and the Porsche Garby is in front of Benjamin Eck with Cady and De Jong following them. In the Porsche number 29 is a Velvans one with Tobben on the Mercedes on the right. The Porsche on the left is Sanchez with Otto on his side, with Kotke and Pisuk completing the first standing grid of the season. And I'm still trying to mess up with the audio because I just put Windows 11 in my PC and oh boy, I just hate it. Why did I do it? Why couldn't I just... Okay, it was a failure. I will admit that. Anyway, I tried to go with the music, but just I don't understand how this works. Why? Why did I do it? Why couldn't I just stay with Windows 10? It was so nice, everything was working, everything was smooth, and now I just have to complain because it's awful. But here we are at the very start, the very long straight, and then the X's, which is quite famous in motorbike racing for some long shots, I will say, with the Joker lap being executed just here on the left. Here it is not available, but here we are into turn 1 and then 2, a very quick one. You just have to put your line on the very right into turn 1 to have a better exit here for turn 3. A very long right-hander, your left tires are going to struggle quite a bit there, and I think it's just better if we just wait for the other Ferrari. I didn't even say cars, it's just Ferraris at this point, because 10 spots and 9 of them are Ferrari, with a 7th place only for the not Ferrari. Turn 4, another right-hander. Who would have thought? And then we go just downhill. Over here, you technically brake when you see the curb, so around here. It's turn 5, left-hander. It's a hairpin being made in 2nd gear. Then 3rd, then 4th. Then you tend to brake just when the curb arrives to the effective curb, so not the tarmac one. You aim for the inside, but depending on your setup, it just may be better to go alongside the curb rather than over the curb. If your car is very stiff, it's better to go alongside it. If it's slightly softer, you can go over it. And then you go here on the right, over the curb this time around, to have a bit more turning speed. Into turn 10, 2nd gear, then first you aim for this curb to here again have some more turning speed. 11 and 12, left and right, which actually is just straight and right because you don't really turn left there. You just cut the curb altogether. You aim for the curb with the AstroTurf. Then chicane, you usually brake and turn on the same time to go over the curb on the outside, and then it's the final S with left and then right, but be careful with the track limits because it is just there on the very left hand side. I'm very tempted to go with the drone cam. I think we could go for a drone time. Maybe it just goes good. We can have a look. So first start with the drone cam as we go alongside the 77. And green light, and away we go with the drivers that are going to go for the very start of the Master season. You can see Keenan already behind Congretel, apologies, with Van Tillen behind one after the other, side by side. There doesn't seem to be any incident whatsoever. In fact, oh, never mind what I said. There is an incident. I think it was actually, yes, it was Oddo. It was Oddo and Kotke and Pizuk being involved in an incident. As we go back into the front, Bergold is now in 6th place. With Busov that lost several places, you can see a Porsche, a BMW alongside. That's definitely not a Porsche. The very bright lime BMW there, which is not really a critique. I love the lime, it is my favorite color. And nice one by Ek on the outside, and gets a position down on Busov with the number 86 on the sides, but it's actually number 51 on screen. So it just doesn't help that one there. Oh, there is also a Ferrari on Busov, but he remains where he is. The number 95 is still in 9th place with Kroos behind and KD following. And the younger that makes a pass on Sanchez just behind them. So there was a contact. We will have a look at the replay after the second lap. For now, Congretel already takes a bit of an advantage over Keenan. Van Tillen just behind. And Lucassen follows. Already creating a gap, which is very important in this circuit. All to the left, brake there on the brake marker, which is the 100-meter board. You aim for the very inside here. A little brake for Keenan, which actually doesn't impact too much his current speed. And also Lucassen is looking forward. In all of this, Knopek managed to gain, well, 2 places from the start of the... Oh, there was a little mistake by Keenan. There was a bit of a mistake and some wobbling on the very rear of that car. The 296 GT3, which won its first race just a year ago in the Nürburgring 24 hours, which, by the way, it's getting closer. So be sure to follow it in real time, in real life even, which I think it is not this week. This week is actually Imola and China and Long Beach and Talladega. I think there is something else, but it's going to be in 2 weeks, or rather 1 week and a half from now. For now, the top 4 are Ferrari, then there is a McLaren, then there is another train of rear-powered cars, except for a BMW in 8th place, in the number 51's hands. Then here is going to have some help in front, because I think Keenan is actually losing some time from Congretel, which puts Van Tillen closer to Keenan, but that means that he also has to slow down a slightly touch, and Lucasen will use that on his favor, but for now it doesn't seem like that. You can see Keenan lagging a bit, going a bit sideways. We can go for an interior view cam, so you can also see from the mirror. Well, you can see something from the mirror. It's not really that much, but still something nevertheless. Oh, that was a bit slow by Van Tielen. Lucasen here can make something happen. Why was my voice so acute for a brief moment? I really don't know. Here on the breaking point, 1 second between Van Tielen and Keenan, so that really puts in perspective how much a tiny little mistake can really make you into troubles. 2-1-4 still in front of Van Tielen with Keenan that's going sideways. That's a bit of lag for the Irish driver, which is having a moment. I'm not sure where he is. Okay, that's a disconnection, I think. Yep, that's a disconnection. So unfortunately, already major implication for the championship already, because we got the second placed car number 77, into the pits for effectively some connection issues, but realistically it could very be the end of the race number 1 for the Irish driver that was starting very close to the pole position, and it's a massive one. It's going to be a massive one for the championship too, and it's actually awful since he was in second place. He was in a very nice placement, but that just ended. So now Van Tielen is in second, Lucasen is in third. Now back behind in fourth, so another place gained by the McLaren, which at the moment is my pick. Only because it's a bit out of the usual. Bergol just behind is very tempted to look forward. You can see the pack which is very close at these levels. But I think now there is a decisive moment to see what really happened behind with... I think this was the incident which happened into turn number 2. You can see there was actually a Porsche going sideways, and then mayhem sparkled. I have to pinpoint which Porsche it was. I think it was Garby. It was indeed Garby making it. Oh, there was a contact actually with a Ferrari there, which then put the Porsche sideways, which put the McLaren into the wall, the Aston Martin into the wall, and all those cars literally 180 degrees perspective on the racing line. And I think the Ferrari which was involved was number 331. I'm very sure it was. We can have a look here. Yes, it was the 331 of Zagdal getting involved with the Porsche and leaving some mayhem behind. Mayhem which is now in 16th position and below. Here De Jong is still trying to get in front of the 119 of Tobin. It has been like this for several laps. For now, 10 minutes into the race. There's going to be a contact. Yes, it will be a contact between the two drivers. Will it be an overtake? It will not be an overtake, so De Jong for now stays behind Tobin, probably knowing what would have happened if a move would have been done, aka penalty. Not really going around it. Lucasen, Sainz, not Carlos. Ah, what a joke. Lucasen, Sainz, the fastest lap of the race so far on 1:42.740. It is at the moment 40 milliseconds faster than the second one, being in the hands of Van Thielen in second place, so very likely the top group is going to close a bit more. Different story for Nopek, which is losing half a second per lap, and the Bergold, which actually lost an entire second from the top group. There we can have a better look at the situation with Bergold and the car number far 1-4. Okay, I can speak. Far 1-5. Why can't I say 4? 4-1-5. Like, I can literally talk for hours, but I can't say the number 4. I think that's actually an achievement on my side. For now, Bergold remains slightly behind the 10th for Von Kalben. Very, very close. You can see from the wing how close that Ferrari is. I don't think it's going to be very easy for the viewers hearing, if you are hearing this without looking, because I will say many times Ferrari, since, well, there are lots of them in the top 11 places, with 3 cars just being different from the Italian brand, as we have 2 McLarens and a BMW. I think now there is some chance for Van Kelber to go into the inside, but Bergold closes the door almost immediately to avoid any action by the 187. Meanwhile, there's also been a pass by Zakdal. You can have a look here. You can see the Ferrari going on the right, with the McLaren going on the left, and not really putting much defense. Actually, pointing where that McLaren would have gone, as the Young is still discussing with Tobin regarding the position order. As you can clearly see, the splitter is very close to the diffuser, as the 119 this point is just looking forward, because those two weren't really battling, but still they lost some time. Oh, there was a bit of a wiggle by the Young's rear, which put the Mercedes back into the 6/10 of a second gap. Pecco for now still leading this train, composed of 5 different drivers: Bergold, Von Kalben, Ecke, Busov and Cruz, with Zakdal 5 seconds behind, leading sort of another train. And now it's a slipstream time for Van Kalben. The BMW will improve the gap certainly, since that car has a better top speed. As a matter of fact, 273 is the top speed being reached at the moment, and it's from the BMW of Ecke. Just as I said, since the BMW is one of the best cars in terms of top speed, with Ferrari actually being one of the worst. But crazy enough, that will not help the 51, because the 95 is very close to them. 51 already a second behind the duo in front, which is actually getting closer to the McLaren 48. In terms of lap time, we have a 43.2. Okay, it's officially 43 low for basically everybody in the top 5. And then we have a bit of a drop with Von Kalben making a 43.5, so 43 mid for the whole pack until Zakdal. And then we have our 44s with KD starting it. But in this very moment, there could be a very important chance for Busov, but maybe that Ferrari behind could have a better look at it. they both remain at the same, pretty much at the same distance. Now that it's close, very close to the diffuser of Busov. Just in front there, you can see the minimap, the enormity that has been created between the AC Racing car and the FRL Ferrari. It is a whole 5 seconds of difference, which is bound to not get very little in the short time. German here getting extremely close to the car in front. It is the other German of Lucas Bergold. Effectively, these two have created a gap between them and the BMW, which has lost an eternity in the last time, being set with a 43.6 by Eck, compared to the 43.0 and 0.2 in front. Very important decision by Von Kalben, which was targeting an inside move, which didn't happen, since there was physically no space available nor time to brake. And I think Von Kalben has the better hand on paper, since he has both the best last and fastest lap. In fact, you can see Von Kalben getting quite irritated at the fact that Bergold is existing. "43 minutes before the race ends, and we are 10 minutes away from the first round of pit stops, which will happen very likely into the 35th minute. See, this track here is quite heavy on tires, so an undercut will be extremely beneficial, but obviously you have to keep them together to the very tail end of the session. But realistically, Barcelona has always been, I think Formula 1 is the clear example of that, a very hard track to overtake, so having the track position is way more important than having the speed. Although many could say, yes, but this is a GT track. Well, it doesn't really get better, to be fair. I follow the GT World Challenge, it's always the same. Barcelona is a very good track for a lot of reasons, but unfortunately not ready for overtaking. Safely. Underlining safely, because you could try an overtake actually everywhere. My favorite spot is here, into turn 4, into the right-hander, because you can actually go into the outside, try your luck, because the next corner is a left-hander, so theoretically you will have a good advantage over the remaining of the course. Oh, there was an out of track for Eck. Benjamin Eck now into the gravel and lost 2 places. We will have a look at this. He remains in front of Zakdal, but the reason is, oh, he just lost the rear, braking on the grass, bottoming out with the diffuser and ending up into the gravel, losing 2 spots and 5 seconds of time too. Oh, Zakdal made a mistake there. It's quite clear he made a huge mistake there. We can have a look at this, braking a bit too late. And actually losing the rear massively, going over into the grass and getting accounted by Katie, Tobin and De Jong. It will not be a huge difficulty for the Swedish driver, since he made a lot of seconds while he was in clean air, which are likely to be gained back in the upcoming minutes. But a very important situation happened for Kelly. Not in his favor, because he has slowed down a bit and Tobin is now very close to him. You can see from the splitter of the Dutch driver, with the Astro Racing team into 12th place, tucking in the McLaren in front. I mean, it depends on which race, because also Daytona was a bit of a for a couple of reasons. When they lost a wheel, I think it was LMS, because Paul Ricard, I don't recall them losing a wheel, and I'm quite sure I don't follow LMS, so that's the only thing. But that team is actually very unlucky most of the time. It doesn't really go smoothly for them. Speaking of GT cars, this wicked Simula. Yeah. Slightly happy boy here. But back with the GT3 here. Into the... Oh, that was very close. That was extremely close by Von Calvin. I think at this point he is just getting extremely anxious. He just wants to get in front. It's not really a... In fact, it was LMS. It's not really an issue looking into the mirror, since there are 2.5 seconds behind. So he can actually play a bit with the situation. It's not like he's in a rush. He can closely... Oh, that was Novak going extremely wide. We can have a back look at this. The replay was instantaneous for once. Going into the right hand there, going very straight. That's what will happen to your tires if you don't stay with them. If you're not too careful on your tires, this will happen understeer, and it will just get worse and worse as the time passes. This track is very hard on tires, especially on the front, rather than the rather than the rear. That understeer put this McLaren very much in danger. The number 48 is currently just in front of Bergold, and I think Lucasen went into the pits. Lucasen went indeed into the pits. Undercut for him. Trying something different. Maybe trying to get into the top 2 places, but that's a massive undercut. 37 minutes to go. And very likely it's going to be 10 minutes on the tires more. Okay, maybe not 10 minutes. But around 6 minutes more on the tires, which is roughly 4 laps, more or less. With the 144, it's a bit more than 3 laps, so let's say 4 laps, which doesn't seem a lot, but he has to defend very, very nervously later. You can see Bergold's rear view is getting a bit clearer, whilst the one in front is getting extremely filled in McLaren colors with a Gulf livery. You can see quite clearly that McLaren there is struggling a bit on the front, thus using a bit more the rear. On that right-hander, the Ferrari was slightly more anchored to the track compared to the McLaren that was struggling with the balance. You can see always, you can see the Ferrari perfectly perfectly it's a bit too much, but definitely gripping on the track better than the McLaren, going a bit sideways. Oh, again lost the breaking point. I think that McLaren has to go to the pits in the next 2 laps. But Von Kalben goes into the pits now, braking just in time. Okay, just in time. And Bergol extremely close to the McLaren that doesn't put any defense, possibly understanding that at this point it will be detrimental to go for a defensive mode or going for a different situation. In fact, he stays on the very much on the outside, not because he didn't want to defend, but actually for the real opposite, defending the second corner, not the first one, and keeping the bumper in front into turn 3, which I wasn't expecting. And Bergold will probably lose the position on the other Ferrari too, still in the pits. 30 seconds into the pits because you have to change tires and put fuel. But this situation is going to be extremely favorable for the number 187, which is very likely to be in 3rd place at the moment. 4th to be fair, since Lucassen is in front by a second and a half, so not that much, but still is in front. So at the moment Bergold has to make a choice, whether staying behind and keeping the tires afloat, or going into the pits and cover for the undercut, which I really think it's a better idea. For a multitude of reasons, even because Buzov, you can see, 1.5 seconds. And it's actually the opposite, it's Buzov which goes into the pits, leaving Bergold still out, battling with the 48. This is not a good call in my opinion. It's very likely going to put the McLaren in a good position at this point, because they are defending the place on the Ferrari behind, but the Ferrari is, at this point, it risks to not only lose the position on Von Kalben, which is 2.5 seconds behind the fastest car on track, but also on the Ferrari in red colors. Again, not sure why the choice. I mean, I can understand keeping the strategy, but this is a bit too much. Now it's nearly certain that we'll lose the position on Kalben. Looking at the sectors, Thomas Nopek looks forward without any issue. The Ferrari doesn't really have any strength into the straights, so that also helps. The Ferrari strength is actually in the tire management, not as much as the McLaren, and the braking, but this track is not really suited for that kind of overtakes. So it's now or never. Now there is still a very slim chance, and it's actually the McLaren that goes into the pits, and Van Tillen, with Bergold keeping it out. So I have no idea what the tactic is at the moment. I am... okay, maybe not in disbelief, but I'm not really sure there. Nopek goes out from the pits. You can see Van Tillen just in front of him, but Lucassen is... oh, apologies. Lucassen is just going to get past the McLaren, and I think staying behind the Van Tillen. So, surprisingly, the tactic didn't work. The answer is in the pit? Not really, I can't see anything there. So very likely it's actually the pit entry which made the difference. Congress is still out on tracks. Bergold goes into the pits now. At this point I think effectively sticking as much as possible to the tactic. Maybe it was a bit much. This would be a very big question mark. Obviously, I didn't put forward the prices in the championship because the winner in each class will receive a gift card of 20 to 40 euros and a free entry to the SRO Grand Final Qualifier event, because yes, FRL is one of the communities which will have the SRO eSport Community World Challenge Qualifier powered by SimGrid, with a chance to win a spot into the Grand Final. And the entry fee is very little, to be fair, just £2, which is 2 coffees, I think. I don't know how much coffee costs in England, to be fair. I find it difficult to understand even in Italy, because wherever you go it changes. It goes from 50 cents to like €1.50. It really depends a lot. By the way, obviously the spots are still available for your team to try a chance to win a spot into the Grand Final of SRO, which will be presented by some of the biggest names in the commentary world, such as Anthony Davidson. And obviously a chance to have an effective role into the SRO temple of speed, with real drivers and real teams actually being there and actually being present in the challenge, the final challenge that will take place in September, if I recall correctly. In all of these, little ad, which is not really an ad, smaller than the Vice, Congretel went into the pits very late, but still he remains into the very top spot without any issue, and now he also has one of the best tires in the whole grid. There are just 2 people which will have better tires than the effective leader, which are the 315 of Pisuk and the 331 of Zakala, which still hasn't pitted. But Congretel very likely, unless he does a major mistake, will not get taken utilizing the life expectancy of the tires as an excuse. So they have to find even more pace than the effective leader. As the 331 is into the pits, so this just leaves Pisuk, which will be very likely the next one to follow into the pit lane. The 50 km/h limit on. Now Congretel obviously has a bit of pace missing. But he is with cold ice, so it's absolutely normal at the moment. In fact, you can see the gap already getting a bit larger. But this is the best opportunity for Van Tielen to maybe take a mistake as an advantage, but very likely that will not happen. But Luklassen is still the fastest car on track. Although I really think that the 42.7 will get overcome, will be overcome by the newer tires being applied to the cars in the second stint. Especially looking at Congrat's pace, since he again has the better tires on this pack. He pitted at lap I can't see the lap, but I can tell you that he pitted just 3 minutes ago compared to Van Tillen, which pitted 6 minutes ago, and 11.5 for Lukassen in the 414, which at the moment in this trio is the worst on tires. In fact, you can see already losing some time from the front end of this little pack. Van Tillen is still keeping the pressure on Congratel, which I think is a bit slower than expected. Piso went into the pits, by the way. Nopek also, very interestingly, very close to Von Kalben, which, as expected, made a pass on Bergold. But actually, so this obviously means Nopek 2, and Nopek going into the pits is just a lap before made a pass on Bergold 2, with Bergold being the latest on the 3 drivers going into the pits, and now also in the timesheet he is in 6th, 2 seconds behind Nopek in the McLaren 48, but very close to Von Kalben, with tires slightly into the inside. Oh, there is a contact, and I think also a crash between the door of the McLaren and the Ferrari bumper, which puts a bit by surprise Bergold back in front of this trio, just as I was talking about it. Massive one there. We can have a look from the helicam. You can see little contact between the two too, which put the Ferrari of Bergold in front. Oh, again another contact, this time it's between the two Ferraris, putting Bergold extremely out of track, and the McLaren goes into the inside, gets the position number 5, and then 4, going for a move, even on Bergold. 4-1-5 still on the inside, side by side with the McLaren on the outside, which can still try to defend whatever is possible, tries to go for an impossible move with the Ferrari closing the door on the outside. Very risky move, but that put a lot of good results on the situation, because now Bergold has a tiny bit of gap behind him, with Nopek following. Von Kalben is now in 6th place. All of a sudden, the situation has completely reverted, with the car that has better tires in front of the pack, and the car that has worse tires in the very last place of this trio. But again, he tries on the inside, the McLaren cuts a bit the circuit, and goes back on the track in front of Van Kalben, so very likely this is going to be questioned by the stewards. So now McLaren is in 5th place. For who has missed the reason why we have a McLaren in the middle of the Ferrari being now mixed, the reason is this thing here, which happened a little time ago. You can see the McLaren that went into the inside, made a contact with the rear left quarter panel of the Ferrari, which then lost the place on Bergold, and then a couple more incidents happened there among the cars. We had this one here on this very section, with the McLaren trying to go on the inside and the Ferrari trying to go over an inside which was really not available, and the McLaren which made the pass on the first Ferrari and then also on the second Ferrari too, which then reverted After a tiny bit of time, you can see here the McLaren was still in front, and then the Ferrari cuts at the very latest moment the McLaren's path, and I really want to see back again this one because it was a very nice one. You can see from the 415's perspective, little tap, but he closed the door as soon as it was possible. And Lucas Bergold now has clean air in front, and more importantly, fresher tires. So now Nopek has to try the best possible to go in front of Bergold, be hoping for the tires to lose some traction. And Von Kelben, okay, at this point, being the latest out of the three. And also the one with the worst tires, as he pitted at the 37th minute mark. He was one of the first to make a pit stop too, and the tactic was a good one, but I really think that it will be scrapped very soon, as here there is Cruz and Busov, which are on a fight on their own. Quite interesting how Zagdal, by pitting this late, lost an eternity. Zagdal is now in 13th place with the young Tobin and Katie all in front of him. After a very late entry into the pits. And the last two laps, which really didn't put a lot of good results at the moment. 43.9 and 44.0 for the Swedish driver, matching the same times as the ones in front, but with way newer tires is not a good thing. The 253 and the number 95. With less than 20 minutes to go, 18 to be exact, which roughly translates to more or less 10 laps, maybe 11. So not a lot of time remaining. We're at the very last quarter of the race. Interesting, here there is a little train, well, a little, there is a freeway fight for 11th place. Tobin, De Jong and Zakdal following each other, and then looking at Keddy in front. Okay. I think I'm okay. Because I was muted, so my comment at the moment doesn't make any sense, but I had some cough. So here Tobin and De Jong are very close together again. Yeah, basically they've been together for the entirety of the race so far, and now they were getting even more closer with a bit of a mistake by De Jong, leaving Zakdal with an opportunity that he will try to use, but he will not create an opportunity. 43.2 was the last lap by Zakdal. 44 for these two. So it's quite clear that those tires are now really helping the Swedish driver, but I don't really think that the tactic will work that much. He has a very good set of tires. He is, as I said, one of the latest to have been into the pit lane. But he has to make an overtake sooner or later on the Young's car, and then Tobben's, and then Caddy's, for a total of 2 to 3 seconds. So not much. But as I said, Barcelona is not really a great track to clinch an overtake. In fact, you can see that Zakdal is, although with way better tires, having some... Oh wait, something happened here, because Buzov lost the place. I think by a mistake on his own. So he went practically straight and lost the place on Kreuz, with the Dutch driver getting into 7th place. That was a bit odd. But nowadays the racing car is now in 7th place. Von Kalben is 2.5 after losing a massive amount of time with the tires being warned. Jimmy Luca von Kalben will go over 2.5 seconds from Nopek in the upcoming sectors. Even looking at the lap times, they are particularly not great. 44.0 was the last lap, and it's even more overwhelming when compared to Kreuz and Nopek, which both made a 43.4. So take the scenario for this car here, which at the moment is losing half a second per lap, and puts Kreuz 4 laps away in terms of distance. Maybe even less, if a mistake happens on Kalben's side. Here Zakdal is still discussing with the Mercedes in front. This is a great lesson. Doesn't matter if you have better tires, he goes inside, makes a contact with the Mercedes, and they are both stopping on track. We now the Young 4 seconds behind Tobben and Zakdal, which lost the temper and went for a move that couldn't have been possible. Went inside, tapped the quarter panel, and both cars came to a halt. So now not only he lost the chance to get back into his place, which was the 10th one, but also the battle with Tobben and the Young has gone, leaving a possible penalty to the stewards to be applied to the Swedish name. Nopek is getting very close, and Kreuz is getting very close too. Pun intended. 43.267 was the best lap being set by Kreuz. Personal best, obviously. And von Kalben's time was 7 tenths off, which puts Kreuz very close to a chance for 6th place. But Buzov again made a mistake. I'm seeing the time just cleared the red, and another second has been lost too from Kreuz, or rather maybe just half a second, because the time has to be updated. In all of this, I practically ignore the fact that Congretel and Van Tielen are one after the other, even though... Okay, just by a lap, so it's not really a massive one, but Congretel has better tires just by a single lap, so not a massive deal, and Van Tielen is there, gaining a tenth per lap. It's a bit too little, so he has to kind of force the hand into the first place. It's a bit different here between Bergold and Opek, with now the McLaren into the slipstream of a Ferrari, which is a bit weaker on the straights compared to the British manufactured car. They have worse brakes. They have a better top speed, to be exact. The best speed being reached is from the BMW of EC 273 km/h. Obviously, when I say it's a bit weaker, I don't say massively like 10-15 km/h. I mean like 2 to 3. It's not a massive thing, but if you time it correctly, it can make a difference. Don't think here the straight isn't that long to make an important impact, but you know, if Ferrari makes a bit of a wrong move into the last turn, and the McLaren is very close, that could really help the situation to unfold itself, as Cruz is practically glued. Okay, no, glued, no, it's a bit too much. It's seeing the Ferrari better. Okay, let's word it that way. 43.492 for Cruz, and number 187 in front. It's a 44.0 again. Another 5 tenths, nearly 6 tenths have been lost by the 187 of the German. No, wait, it's Dutchman. Apologies. No, it's a German. Okay, I was correct. It's Cruz, the Dutchman. Apologies. As the Dutchman is getting in a very good situation for 6th place. 8 minutes to go, so not much time left, but very likely a move could happen into turn 1, into turn 4, 5, 7, 10, and I think that's it. So here we are with the Ferrari going on the left, addressing the fact that they exist. Obviously for now it's just a visual measure, nothing concrete. Hoping for it to change for the Dutch driver, getting now very close to the 187 as the German keeps it together for now. 7 minutes to go, and defending already into turn 1. German stays in front, doesn't miss the apex. Different lines between the two, with Cruz which has a better traction, which means a bit more speed towards turn 3. Even Opek is dangerously close to Bergold, but the situation is a bit slower to happen. And also I think Van Tielen has lost the opportunity to make it in Congretel's place. 1.7 seconds is now the gap between the two. So now I just think that Congretel has it in the pockets. Could this be the moment we were so much waiting for? With a very nice livery too. Changing the view for this time around. You can see how close this carrier. Busov is also getting a bit closer. Because if these two keep going at the 44, I think Busov may have a chance to get something out of that. 44.4 for these two. 44.0, actually a 43.9 for Busov. So 4 times have been gained. Looking at it in retrospective, losing the place on Cruise hasn't been a great thing, but I think now there is a possible chance into the inside, which doesn't happen. Von Kalben stays in front, Cruise stays behind, and Busov gets closer. And the gap between Von Kalben and Nopek is 5.5 seconds. Making it the closest fight we will have in the last minutes is the one for 6th place, which is getting closer to become a freeway fight for position. I think we already reached that point. As long as it's a great track for defending. It's very easy to defend. And every overtake costs you a very large amount of time. It's quite clear I don't like Barcelona. It's getting clear. Oh, he goes for the inside. Oh, he goes for the move. It doesn't happen because there is a contact between the two drivers, which I think puts the Ferrari number 187 back in front of the 243, which loses the position on Busov momentarily, since Busov is on the outside, going into the AstroTurf and on the marbles, losing some grip and the position on the Cruise. So now the Dutchman is back in front of Busov and behind of Van Kalben, which makes the situation clearly aggressive by Von Kalben's side. He really wants to stay in 6th place. He very likely understood the issue, which was a mistake in the strategy call, going a bit too early. Lost the places on Berger and Opek. He clearly doesn't want to lose anything more than what he already had to lose, which was a 4th place. Cruise has more, and Busov will be extremely aggressive since he just joined the battle with less than 2.5 minutes to go, which means 2 laps to the very end. 2 shots for these 3 to decide who will get into 6th place and who will get into 8th place. Obviously I will not go into the replay since this would practically make me miss every single thing that would have happened if I would have been into the replay, which I didn't, so nothing will happen. It's a bit of a paradox. Until I don't go into the replay, nothing will happen. So that's why we're going to the replay. Now Von Kalben, I will never say it correctly, I know it. Cruise, back behind, is rising the slipstream. At this point, I think he addressed the fact that making a move there was not a viable choice in that particular scenario, where he was a bit too far away. Now he's extremely closer on the right hander. Von Kalben on the inside, Cruise on the outside, breaks way later. The number 187, but this also means that Von Kalben had a better line towards 4, and now into 5th turn to go into the chicane with order that remains the same. Busov is very likely waiting for a mistake to happen between the two, to try to utilize it to his advantage to get 2 places in a single way, but you can see Busov going, Kroos going extremely wide into the left-hander, leaving room for Von Calvin to make it back into 6th place. So now white flag brought to you by FRL, with Von Calvin just in front of these two, battling as much as possible to keep the place alive. For another scenario is good for Von Calvin. He has the best gap in the last 5 laps, 7 times, which is not a lot, but it's way more than the usual. And the 2 best overtaking spots have been surpassed. Leaving Kroos with just half a lap to make something happen. And at this point I'm not really sure where to make it in a manner that doesn't put your own position in danger, because Busov is there, so you can't really go for a last second move, since he will lose another place because of that. The 822 is stopped on track, which is the background of Kotke, possibly leaving the leaders pass by. Congratel with 2.5 seconds, Carnaval 170 with Lucas Congratel, the Frenchman, for Virtual Drivers by T-Extra, going to the last turn and completing the race number 1 in 1st place and winning the Barcelona GP in front of Van Tielen and Locassen, completing the podium. Then Bergold keeps it into 4th with Nopek just behind, and Von Kalben will remain in 6th place with Kroos behind. Busov, which didn't manage to utilize the mistake made by Kroos, completing in 8th place. Ek, which made it into 9th place. KD keeping it in front of Tobin. And Zakdal being way below the expected position, 12 for him, with a Young behind, which also gained a drive-through in the very last moments. So this means he will likely be in 17th place, with Sanchez completing in 14th, Bellman in 15th, 16th for Pisuk, Odd in 17th, with Garbi and Kotke lapped, and unfortunately with Keenan being retired from the race, he was in 2nd place. Only retirement for the day. So this was it. This was the first round of the Master. With Drivers by T-Extra wins the first round with Lucas Congratel in the Ferrari. Simulator in Belgium gets 2nd place, and Lucasson, we'll never know the team. No, wait, I have to. Oh, okay, I can't. Fine. Polish. No, wait, I can. So RNL Roar is a team in 3rd. So this was it for the night. Next round is going to be, I can't remember by sheer memory, I'll be completely honest, but it's going to be Valencia, so actually a good track, and then it's going to be Brands Hatch, Monza 90 minutes, Donington, oh, it's going to be an interesting one, Cota Laguna Seca makes its return, and the 24 hour of Northlife. Did I say it correctly? No, it's not a 24 hour, it's just a track, because it's going to be just a 90-minute race. There is a drop round, so at least Keenan could be slightly happy for that. This is going to be his drop round, quite likely. And I will see you all in Valencia for the next round. And until then, stay safe and have a good night. See you in round number 2 for